Okay, we are live after a moment of hesitation and being completely cut off from the modern world. I guess something updated and it's lost its connection, but we're connected again. I hope this is working. Yes, I see myself. So I'm just trusting that everything is good here. So, welcome back. It's good to see everyone, although there's no one here, but I'm sure people will materialize either live or joining, watching it afterwards. We had a long break. Last broadcast was the Christmas special. Did I remove? Yeah, I've removed all of my Christmas paraphernalia. And it's the new year, 2026, which is the year when Saltcorn will go huge, I guess. Um, I am at least hoping so. I'm just checking that everything is good here. Everything looks good to me. Um, okay, some people are saying hi. Hi, Patrick. Hi, Lowbolt. Good to see everyone. Um, I wonder where Mike is. Mike shows up to every broadcast, but maybe today. Mike can't make it. But Mike, if you're watching this later, hello to you. Um, hey, Mike. Hey, good to see you. Okay, so what's been happening in this 1 month? Well, I ate a lot of Christmas food. I baked all these cookies. I've been taking up sourdough bread making, which is kind of fun. I promise not distracting from making salt corns. But we have been doing some work also in January, and I'm gonna share that. As usual, feel free to ask any questions here. But before people, until people come up with some good questions to ask, then I'm just gonna go through what has happened recently and what's new in Saltcorn world. Um, so for starters, we have a new release, and there's a blog post that goes with that. So if you want to read about the new release, this happened a couple of days ago, last week. So look, most of this is stuff that I've been talking about on previous office hours. So this has now been out in a major stable release. So and there's a new DigitalOcean image. So if you're in DigitalOcean, you're creating new images, you will get this version without needing to upgrade. This is now a stable release. Previously, we said that the odd numbers were development releases and the even numbers were stable, but now we're just gonna do say that every whole number is a stable release. This is also the change that Linux made. Hey, Leon. And we, they seem to know what they're doing. The Linux seems to be a moderately functional development release project, open source project, so we're just going to do whatever they do. So here we go. 1.5 is a stable release. Major things is RTL mode. So I think I showed this on a previous office hours that if you want to support RTL languages, it's not enough just to revert the text. You can do that, but it looks totally wrong. You need to revert the whole application. So if you have a sidebar that needs to go on the right, and if you have the columns need to be in a form. If you have a multi-column form, they need to be swapped as well, and that's happening. So Bootstrap does a lot of that work for us. We just had to activate it. Multi-node, you can now run Saltcorn more easily across multiple nodes, and I will talk more about that because the last piece of that puzzle has just happened. And it's now just been merged now. So that's all good. So what this means, if you want multiple application servers, maybe for redundancy or for some other reason, or if you want just for performance or for some other reason you want to run multiple application servers, then all you have to do is run this. You have to set an environment variable. It says it's at the bottom of the README how to do that. And then if you build on one server, it'll be propagated over the next. And the last piece of the puzzle here is this leadership election that is now happening. So that's good. Entities list, again, I will talk more about that because that's being improved. as we have, uh, we're just people are finding it useful, but there are ways in which could be more useful, and that's coming up. Air gap mode, again, I will talk more about that because a lot of that stuff happened after the last office hours. What that means is that we now have a Docker image that you can build off without any connection to the internet. It's got all the modules already installed, sort of pre-installed as we call it, so it doesn't need, if you want to activate the tabulator, Kanban, agents, whatever, well, I guess not. Yeah, if you want to do local LLM, you could do it as well. So this is an image you can use and fully build application, use all functionality without having any connection to the internet after you've downloaded that image. So that's great. That works. And lazy tab, I think we talked about that a long time ago. Some new changes in mobile apps. Again, I'll probably talk about that today. And we talked about the code editor. I think I've shown you this before. All this funny talk about the half H. Okay, so that is the release. There is one important thing here. There's a security fix. There was a, what's it called? Cross-site scripting vulnerability in one of the admin actions. That means that if you can trick an admin into clicking a link, then you can essentially, a malicious link, then you can run arbitrary code essentially on, and you can run arbitrary JavaScript. You can use that to hijack the session. That's probably what you'd want to do. So you can steal the cookie and then you can use that cookie from somewhere else. Or you can use it to change any setting, and because we give admin a considerable amount of power, and in terms of changing the application and setting things up on the server, that's potentially bad. So that has been fixed, and not only has it been fixed in that route, but it's been fixed in all, so that whole class of vulnerability is no longer possible, because we have in the central handler, we escape all the stuff that comes in through the parameters now. So that's great. And there will be a CVE issued for this, but GitHub wasn't making that easy. But I'm working on that. Okay, that's the 1.5 release. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about here? Let's see. I think I talked about that. Okay, let's show the two sort of main user visible changes here. So one is the, and then of course there's new workflow editor. That's the main. Should we start with that? That's not in the release. It's brand new. So maybe some of you haven't seen it. And it's a new way to edit workflow. So previously you had, well, let's just see what a workflow looks like. Let's do this one. Okay, so this is how you edit workflows now. It's got a nice little thing. You can move it around. This is a bit of a pathological workflow because this one goes into that. So let's change that. Let's see. If I do that instead, then, okay, so this workflow is not quite done. See, now we're editing. So what is this? What are we looking at? So Gerard did all of this work, and I think it works well. It is a more interactive way of editing workflows. There's no real new capabilities. Well, apart from the fact that you can rearrange the steps by dragging. So that definitely some issues here that are missing. It's a preview. That's why if you look at the latest releases, this one is called Alpha. Don't upgrade to this unless you have a test machine. Don't upgrade to the Alpha in production. We've actually had to deactivate some or ignore some test failures because we had these end-to-end tests and they tested the old workflow. And we have someone who builds these for us because it's kind of boring for the developers to build these end-to-end tests. So we've deactivated some of those, so there isn't quite, while we're in this alpha stage of the next release, there isn't quite the same sort of automatic testing scrutiny from the application code. So but if you want to do a preview, you can do this. And also We've got some new features that people are asking for. If you need any of those backported to 1.5 because you're not quite comfortable running this, just let me know, and we may be able to backport anything back to 1.5 and make another 1.5.1 if you need anything like that. Yeah, so this is the alpha. My lighting is going haywire. Okay, there we go. That's better. So you see this if you upgrade to that alpha. It's a React application. It runs in a bit like the builder. It runs sort of inside the main page. I think we need to look at. I'd like to have these buttons up here. That's something that we're going to work more on as well in general in cards, having buttons up here. Ooh, maybe I should talk about those. I don't want to show you some of these meta issues. I think there's still some work, and then the other thing. Major thing is that instead, by default, this is building left to right. I think this is should be building top to down. And then what we're going to try is, instead of this coming up in a sort of pop-up here, we're going to try and have this come up on the right side. So you can still interact with the workflow, which will now be going top to down and then opening on the right here. So you can still interact with that workflow while you're editing a step. And so you may want to zoom around to see the names of the steps or something like that. But already, this is the first sort of iteration, or maybe it's the second or whatever. But no, this is, I think, more or less the first. Already, this is somewhat better than the old workflow editor. The old workflow editor was like, it was some stuff I'd done. It was not so good. It just wasn't possible to drag these steps around, right? Like you can here. So, I can do, if I want to do a loop, I can just do that. So now this is a loop, goes around in a loop. Lowbolt likes left to right. I know, look, I was actually considering this because, well, just because that's the way a lot of other people do it, right? N8N, which is probably the most popular workflow editor now, is left to right. But I think if you do left to right, you won't be able to have this pop-up. That won't work so well. That you have, you'll have to stay with this pop-up. Maybe I'll just go and look at how some N8N tutorials are showing this. There's a bunch of N8N videos on YouTube I can just look at. So I agree actually that left to right is probably all other things sort of the more natural thing, but I do think if we want the step editing over on the right, then that's going to work better. Anyways, we're talking about whether this should be left to right or top to down. I think, look, let's do a top to down release, then we can see how it works, and let's see. Okay, this is the workflow editor. It's got a bunch of stuff that, you can still do these pluses here. And now we've lost the next, but you can still connect things in between. So that's good. Yeah, so Gerard did all of this, and the vision for this is, so first of all, it just looks nice. The other one just really didn't look nice. It's more interactive, easier to drag things around, edit the flow. But the real vision here is that maybe we'll be able to do some debug runs. So if you can select a previous workflow, or maybe even you can test run a workflow, then it will show you as it goes through the steps. It will highlight the one that's active, that's currently running. I think that'll be very nice, and you could maybe click on it and see what the workflow context is. So something like that to help you debug workflows, I think could be really nice. And for that, you clearly need this kind of more interactive workflow editor. Okay, great. I think I've been talking enough about this. If you want to try it, it's on this release, whatever the latest is, 1.6.0 alpha 5. left to right. So Patrick is saying 2 options: left to right with pop-up step setting, top down with right embedded step settings. Yeah, potentially we could make it an option. Yeah, I think we should. We have a bunch of possibilities. Let's try some of those. Okay, so that was the workflow editor that I wanted to talk to you about, and then we have also some more work on the entities list. This isn't quite right. I think this shouldn't be a button. It should be more of a link, but I'll fix this. It's like some minor stylistic issues that are kind of actually now looking a little bit annoying. But hey, okay, new things here. I think this should be a link, but here you can now edit a page and you can run it. So you can, both get both options here. So all the entities have the main name here is a link to configure. So if I click on a table, that goes me to edit the table. If I click on a page, that takes me to, editing the page. But if I just want to run it, I just press the run button. What else has happened here? Oh yeah, now you have this more. Bam. So now you get more things. So you can show, these are basically, if you, in the standard state, you've got our 4 standard entity types. These are the things you build. This is, what's the core entities of any application: tables, views, pages, and triggers. But we can make this interesting, Mike. You probably said that before. Let me get back to Mike's comment in a second. I'll just finish saying what's new. We have a more here, and now you bring in the modules. So now you can see, like, if I want to look at like the SQL module, if I just type in SQL, then that comes up. That's my module here. So you can uninstall it. If I click only on modules, then I get, ooh, this is not very nice. This is very short. It's probably a problem on this theme that this has got a very short. Interesting. So when I click something, this jumps up. I don't know, but that's kind of a bug. We'll fix that. So anyways, if I click on modules, then I actually see both installed and installed and not installed modules. Although, why am I not seeing? That's because I'm searching here. Interesting. So it happens when I'm searching here. Anyways, we'll fix that. So now if I'm on modules, then if I'm only looking at modules, then I see both the installed and uninstalled modules. So, I can search here. And if I go off modules, but I still have this in the more expanded stage, then I see the modules, but only the ones that are installed. That's kind of like, I don't know if that's the right thing, but it seemed like the right thing right now. Maybe they should always show installed and uninstalled modules. I don't know. I don't know what the right thing is. You just gotta like do something, and then people will tell you whether it's right or wrong. Users. Again, this jumps. These things like annoy me, but hey, this is the only way you find bugs. So now I can search for users, right? So if I'm so that's me. Now again, I can search for users. So the idea is just that since this is actually quite a powerful editor, powerful interface, and it shows you everything, then I thought we could bring in a few more entity types. We might do files, but files live in folders, so I'm not sure if files should be here. I don't know. The other thing here is we're gonna do, I think that's the last issue on the, let me see what there's a list of things to do. I think the last issue here on that list is, oh yeah, a couple of other things. Multi-select, that's something that would be nice if you could select things and then delete them. That would be really nice actually. So you can, especially if you want to be able to delete, multiple views. I have some views based on notes. If you could just like select all and then press delete, that would be nice. Or maybe you do your shift press here. Then that's one thing that's coming. Deep search is another thing that's coming here. So right now, so in the idea is actually to bring a lot of the we have this other thing, right? This registry editor, and here the search is deep. So if I want to, it's not. It's searching inside all of the entities, so it's quite powerful. So if I want to know where, select two is a field view, right? And if I want to find all the views that use select two, because maybe I forget where this is used, then I can see that, and so it's now searching inside the views, the whole definition here, and it's knows that somewhere inside this big JSON definition there's a select two that's used. The entities is more of a shallow search, so if I do select two here, then I don't get anything. But the idea is to maybe put a button here that says deep search. So again, I can do select two just to bring more functionality from the registry editor in. Maybe this is not a good idea. I don't really know. Look, it's not a lot of work because we already have that functionality in the registry editor. So who knows? Are there any comments on this? Let's see what people say. People have been saying a bunch of stuff, and I've just been sitting here and ranting and talking. Would still love to see the last edited date field in this view. Mike, yes, I assume you're talking about this view, this entities list. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna live edit my to-do list on GitHub, and I'm gonna add some of these things. So let's say I'm gonna add this now. So this is a first for the office hours. Last edited date for all entities, at least views, pages, triggers. Do we have that information? Probably not, but we have something similar. We have this paid app change thing, so we can just add. We can do this. And yes, I agree. That's really nice to have this. And I think, Mike, you've said this before, or somebody else has said this before, and I totally ignored you. But now I'm putting it on the to-do list. Okay. And also, there's a problem with becomes less tall as I type. Okay. So there we go. That's the way to do project management live on while people telling you what to do. Okay, so I think you did it right. I don't know what that was right. It surprises me I did anything right, but it probably was right. Yeah, Patrick is saying he has a archive system with 650 files. Yeah, that's why I'm a bit hesitant about files. There can be a lot of them, and also they can live in folders, and that complicates this view. So maybe we won't do files here. You can already search, right? You get the same search under the files here. You can search here, and I don't know if you can search. Can you search for like so it does search inside this file search. Does search inside all the folders. I don't know how we do that fast, but probably somebody did it. So entities and tables. Yes, I think we're talking about the last edited date. Talking about modules on entities. I know things are getting confusing, and there are too many abstract nouns. Let's talk about something plain and simple. So what have we got here? Oh yeah. Last thing. Okay, let's talk about something plain and simple. I've kind of already mentioned it, and there isn't really that much to show anyone. But what happened was that on the leadership election, let me just explain what the problem is. This happened. I have nothing to show you except for code. What the problem is that if you're running multiple nodes, then one of them needs to be the scheduler. Essentially needs to be the leader, but the only leadership functionality we have is that you run the scheduler. The scheduler is the node that runs daily events, hourly events, 5-minute type events, often we call them, and also some other things like it picks up workflows that need to be restarted because some condition has been met. You can suspend workflows for a certain, for half an hour, and that needs to be picked up. And the problem is that if in a multi-node cluster, if you have a cluster of Saltcorn servers, and if everyone thinks they're the leader, then that's going to get run twice, right? So, or once for each node. So you need one node to be to run the scheduler and to be the leader and to run those hourly events. Problem is, you could just say that manually because you can disable the scheduler on the command line. But then you need to know which node you want to make the scheduler, and that means that if that node goes down, then you have no scheduler. That's actually not necessarily the end of the world, because the other nodes just keep on happily running along and serving information, but it does mean that periodic events just won't run. And, depending on your application, that can be very bad, or you may think it's not so bad. It is very bad, actually. So we have had cases when the scheduler went down without anyone notifying, and then observable bugs do happen. So now, if you now run it in with this commit, which is the leadership election, it now automatically picks a leader. And it turns out, I made up some algorithm, but it turns out PostgreSQL already has like built-in functionality to do this. They have this PG try advisory lock, and just means that every node will try to acquire a lock from PostgreSQL. They're all connected to the same database, and then one of them will succeed, and that is the leader. And then they can keep asking, am I the leader? And then other nodes can keep on trying to acquire that lock, and they will only be able to do it when the leader sort of dies or decides it's no longer the leader, which it won't automatically, but it could die, right? That's the point. We've got high reliability, high availability. So that is the last bit of the puzzle of us going web scale and going multi-node, multi-server. Everything should now work. If it doesn't, there are no known things that doesn't work. Of course, there's some scenarios that, where extra work will be needed, like if you need multi-region, but that's basically a database problem. It actually would work multi-region. The other thing to know is that you do still have to do your own connecting of the file stores into a shared drive, but I do see that as something outside Saltcorn. That's something that we can't really fix in Saltcorn. Hey, we got a question. Okay, great. I will get to the question in a second. Okay, so that's, I guess, all I want to say, and hopefully all the work for the moment we're going to do on multi-node. I think that's complete, unless there are any bugs. And look, if people want something that scales even more, then, we got to hear what those demands are. I can't, you can't make this stuff up. So now we fully work on multiple nodes, which is great. So that potentially means you can scale very large. Okay, so let's see. What did I want? Let's see what else did I want to talk about? Talked about that. Yeah, okay. Let me, before I get to the question, let me just quickly finish up and do something, because it'll be quick. So the mobile builder is something Christian has been working on. In addition to just the mobile builder now looking nicer, you now have push sync and periodic sync, which means that when you're synchronizing your database between the device, when you have tables can live, when you have a mobile application, you're running some Saltcorn code on the device, and you're running some on your server. And previously, you can select that your tables should all just live on the server. That's fine. In that case, you effectively have a web application running on your phone as an app. But you may not, then it won't work offline. So if you want things to work offline, you have to move some of the data to the device, and then it has to be synchronized between the device and the server. Previously, the way we did that was there was a big sync button on the menu in the device, and that meant people manually had to sync. The user had to manually sync, and that's maybe okay for some applications. I think, you know, for sometimes that's what you want, but I think most applications you want something more automated and something less visible to the user. So now we have two modes of synchronize. We have three modes. We have that sync button, manual sync. We have a periodic, which means that every, say, 5 minutes, the device will try to sync to the database and see if there are any differences. And then we have a push-based synchronization, which means that whenever changes happen on the database, they get pushed to the device. Now, that was done for, and there was a new feature in Android in 1.5, but in iOS it just didn't make it to the release, but now it is there in iOS as well, so you can now get, you know, this synchronization without the big sync button. So that's great. That's something we really needed to you know, to build a normal looking app. The other thing is that this builder has been redone. So it just looks a lot nicer. There's like Android, iOS, there's some, you know, specifics, there's commonalities here, and then there's specifics here for iOS and Android. So I think this looks great. So, okay, cool. I need to use this. I need to build some app. Okay, so I think that's about it. There were some small issues I was going to talk about. We have some meta issues here that I created that are sort of more like roadmap for 1.6. So there's this builder improvements. This is stuff that's going to happen. I'm not going to go through what these are. And there's some Copilot agent type changes that are also going to happen in the next release cycle. And I think I created another one. But anyways, let's move on to the questions, because we have questions now. Okay, let's see. Would it be possible to have Saltcorn execute on startup triggers when a restore from backup is complete? This is Lowbolt. This is, you are talking about the initial restore from backup, I assume. Is that a reasonable thing to do? I mean, certainly it can be done. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I have to say I don't really use the on startup triggers, so I'm surprised. You know, if you want to write a little bit more what you use it for, but I think this makes sense. Let's write that down somewhere. So the point is, so we have these triggers, right, that you can create an on startup trigger. When you can set this to startup, and you can do whatever you want to. And say hello world. And so Lowbolt is suggesting that the startup trigger should be run on restore from backup. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that could be done. If that's the right thing, it probably is the right thing. Because I guess you use that to initiate something. Yeah, we can do that. But you can't do that now. I mean, it's not a setting or anything. But that sounds reasonable. Okay, next question. Be able to programmatically modify some config options. That I think you can actually do. So should I just, first of all, let me load up my editor, and I think we can do this. But first I have to check, because I just have to check what's in scope. yes, you can do this. But so let's talk about how to do this. We're definitely in advanced land. What should we do? Let's set the favicon. No, let's set the set app name. And okay, so what I'm gonna do, we're in code here. We could potentially make this an action as well. It's interesting because you can do it in code anyways. Okay, so my objective for the next 5 minutes is to make this, make this something else without, obviously, the way you change that is, oh, I don't have to, there's no save button anymore. There hasn't been a save button forever. So now I've changed it to Saltcorn. The site name goes up here. Okay, my objective is to do this in an action. Let's do this. All I have to do is await, set config. Hey, even got completion here for it. Okay, so you gotta know, okay, how do you know what this corresponds to? Okay. So a couple of different ways. There's no easy way, but one thing is you can just do your inspector here and you can go in and say field name is site name. That's not very nice. I shouldn't be showing you this. The other way is to go to the register editor and you can see what those configuration names are. That's probably the more user-friendly way. Just to remind you, we are definitely in advanced land. I don't want any beginners to come up here and think like this is what you got to do to run Saltcorn. Oh, it's right here, site name. But if you didn't know, if you didn't want to explore, if it wasn't at the top, you could search for the value. And here it comes up, right? So let's, okay, so I know now it's called site name. And I just want it to be Saltcorn. Let's do it with a K, just to be cool. Okay, that it? Oh, no, that's not, is that it? No, that's not it. Let's just try and run this. Oh, that was it. Why did that refresh? Okay, if that, I thought that wasn't enough. Now I've lost it. What did I call it? What did I call it? I called it something like set app name. That was it. I thought you'd have to do. There's another one. Refresh. Wait. It's all on refresh system cache. It's all on here. I thought we had to do this. Now that you're used to having like type ahead find, it's so annoying that it isn't here. Okay. Let's set it back with a C and test run. There we go. Right, so that's how you do it. So you just use this set config. And you can also get config. By the way, it's annoying that it switches between the all entities list and the trigger list. You can also do, you can also get things. I don't think you have to do a wait for that, actually. Get config site name. And now we just do, don't need this for sure. Return. Okay. It comes up here, right? The other thing you can do is here. If you just do console log here in production, that will come out on your system log, which is part of your sort of, your system D log, and some of you know how to get that. But what's somewhat nice is when you do this in the test run, then it just shows up here. And this is quite nice. Now you can rerun here. So I can now switch between configure and test run. So this test run output, that comes up whenever you have a console log. So whenever it captures, so when you run an action in the test run mode, it's run with it captures the console, and if anything came out, it shows you that rather than redirecting to the triggers list. Okay, great. Okay, that deals with that question. Okay, so Leon, I've already asked on Discord, but I don't know if it's that simple. I don't know how to build a Docker file image correctly. After installing it, I can't download the modules in any way. Interesting. Okay, so Leon, look, let's see. Is this recently on Discord? Maybe we'll take it on there. Because to be honest, I don't really use Docker that much either. I just run it. I run Linux. My desktop is Linux, which means that audio doesn't work, and I can't watch any movies, which is good. It keeps me working. Yeah. Okay. But Leon, it's a valid point. Are you using the... okay, that sounds like... Okay, look, I may need to just direct Christian to this, because he was the one who did this isolated Docker image. So we may need to just look and see if there's a bug here. On this. Right. Also, sometimes, you do something, and then you do something else, and then it breaks the previous number. So this whole... We don't really have a good sort of test infrastructure suite for, testing Docker images. Which maybe we should do. So okay, great. So let me look at that and forward that to Christian. I have to say, yeah, I should really set up something so I can run Saltcorn off Docker just to test that it works when we're changing something. We need to do that actually, because we need to change. So the Docker images use an old version of Node. Actually, that could be one reason why it doesn't work. Is that a lot of modules are now no longer supporting Node 18. And we need to update the Docker images are still on Node 18, so they need to be updated to Node 24, ideally. So I need to figure out I need to just set up a little script where I can run Saltcorn off a Docker container. Okay, is it possible to change the welcome message? Leon, maybe which welcome message do you mean then? Because yeah, I don't. Maybe if you could just type which welcome message. Do you mean this one? Is this the Leon? Is this the welcome message you want to change? That is unfortunately hard coded. I think it's translated. It's hard coded. We clearly should have some kind of level of configurability around this. I think actually you can do something here. Yeah, notify welcome. Yeah, yes. Okay, so you can actually wait. Maybe you can. Maybe I think you can actually customize that. Let's try it. Because we have this. Do we have anything on login? Yes, login. Let's see. So let's see what this one does. Okay, that doesn't do anything. But so let's create a new new trigger. Okay, so we're gonna create a login, custom login notify. And this is hard. This is easy, I think. I'm just hoping this works. Okay, so actually here you don't need any code. You just do this called toast. And you set it to login. You set the when to login, and you create a toast action. I think this works. And now I say, let's say something like, so there's text and title. Let's say text. Good to see you again. I may be able to use interpolations. I'm not quite sure. Hello. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so let's try now if I log out. Ah, no, it comes up with both. What I suggest we do here is... Also, I don't know why that was a warning. And it didn't show the title. But that's maybe just in my... I think I know why it's jumping up now. It's because there aren't any... I think that because there aren't any items here. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I think that makes sense. Maybe that wasn't a bug after all. Okay, let's see. Custom log and notify. And what do I say here? Notify. Let's try success. Okay. Oh yeah, so if it... if I do a success, then it shows both. I think what we should do is... So you can put some stuff, but it clearly shows the old one as well. And if they're both success, then they go into one notify. I think there needs to be a little bit of work here on reconciling these. So you can effectively use... Like if there is a notify on login, then it doesn't show this. I think that's a simple rule, right? We don't have that rule. It just currently tries to show both. But I think it makes sense that if you do a notify, then it overrides what you have. Because if you want it to say welcome and then the name, then you can just do that. Unless there aren't any other questions. I'm just going to explore this a little bit more and see if we can get interpolations. Let's see if we can get... Do I get user.email? And I also don't... Let's do the error. Okay. Yeah, so interpolations work. That's good. And actually this seems to entirely work. Although the title didn't... I had the title, I had this hello. This one. I had this title and that's not showing up. And also if I do notify, it should be info and not a warning. But it appears to be a warning. So there's a couple of things here. I think we did this in response to someone who wanted this. And I think this is, you know, there needs to be a few more rules here about defaults and stuff like that. Okay. Leon, you say, thanks, I edit directly in the code. I just can't build it. Not sure what that refers to, but maybe that's okay. I think it's just a Docker thing. Yes. Okay. All right. I think if there aren't any more questions, I think we might call it a day. I need to go and bake my next loaf of sourdough bread. And it's good to see people. It's good to have some questions this morning. And we're going to try and get back into sort of a more regular routine and do this once every 2 weeks probably. And lots of stuff coming up, you know, the workflow editor being, you know, sort of actually usable and is I think is already good and actually, you know, compared to what we had before, having that, this is so much more. Okay, I see. Okay, so let's resolve that Docker problem. So let's so I think that's great, and that's going to be a focus on the next you know couple of weeks. And then this builder, we have a lot of stuff happening here with the builder. So we've got someone now who is working on this this page builder, right? This wasn't necessarily the one I wanted to show. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening here as well. I know there's some fiddliness around drag and drop. Hopefully that will get resolved. Multi-select. We have a nice integration with the Copilot that's been suggested. that I think we want to do. So all of that is going to happen over the next couple of months, and hopefully then things will become increasingly more user friendly, friendlier for beginners, and also with some features for power users like keyboard shortcuts is something that we're looking at, and so that's very exciting. So have a good weekend. Thanks for showing up. And thanks for showing up so early in the middle of the night. Now I feel guilty. We'll do the next one in the afternoon. So great. Have a good weekend.